recording is going on now.
Yep. Confirm you can see the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. You got the recording going?
Yeah, we got a couple questions before we can get started. At least they didn't put their hands down. We got Rogowski and Rob Knapp. So how about Rob? Go ahead and go first. I was just trying to play around. All right, he must have put it down.
Okay. And I got a couple more that just came in. Let me allow them to unmute.
Yeah, also guys, when you chat today in the Zoom webinar chat, if you try to do it, if it's a question for everybody, that all panelists and attendees, that might be a good question. That way everybody can see the question, and then one of us can get back to you. So all panelists and attendees for the chat.
Okay, let's get rolling. Night number 2. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we know about COVID. Jeremy's got some slides on that. Steve's on. Vetter couldn't make it tonight. Steve's on, going to talk a little bit about assigning, and then if John has more to add later, we'll add him to the agenda. We've got some U.S. lacrosse clips on offsides, and then there was some questions last week around the hate speech discussion, so we pulled up the IHSA slides, or at least the document on hate speech. So we'll talk about that and what IHSA says that we really need to do for hate speech. So I think the first thing up is COVID. So let me give it back to you, Jeremy.
All right, sir. As he makes me the host.
Yeah, I'm looking for you in the list.
You might be able to go on the screen if you see me on the screen and just go to the triple bars underneath my name and make host.
That's what I was looking for. I don't see it.
Go right to his picture and
Got it. Yep.
on the right side.
Problem is it was off the screen. I got two different size screens. Okay, you should have it.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your screen sharing and I'm gonna share my screen and going to start presentation. Are you seeing it here on the screen now? The GLLOA. Is everybody good?
You got the GLLOA Home 2021 training page. Yep.
Yeah, I apologize if I've had this issue all day with internet unstable at my house, so my students have been getting off Zooms left and right, but I'll try to go through this quick. So this is what we know as of today. Some of these recommendations are coming from the National Federation of High Schools. Some of these recommendations are coming from GLLOA, but eventually they'll all go to the IHSA and they'll make the final decision. So starting off with the agenda, personal responsibilities, officials, uniform, and equipment, what we know based with other sports are doing right now. Pre-game, coin toss, overtime, and post-game procedures for officials. Face-off meetings and pre-game sick checks, something that's unique to lacrosse. And also some IHSA and FHS suggested modifications as far as mechanics go. So personal responsibilities, guys, I'm sure you've heard these all the time. I'm actually going through a quarantine right now myself for the next 10, I think I got 10 more days left of it before I can get out of my house. But if you're not feeling well and you have any COVID-19-like symptoms, you should notify your assigner as soon as possible, the whole school and crew members. We had the discussion at the annual meeting, and I believe Vetter said you could just send them an email, but if it's the day of, if you need to get off a game the day of, you need to go ahead and call Scott or call Eckleberry or call Vetter or call anybody you can from ILACS and let them know. You know, I had a situation, I had a 7 o'clock game 2 weeks ago, and on that, it was a Tuesday night at 4 o'clock, I had someone in my household test positive, and I had to get on the phone right now with that assigner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock game. So it wasn't easy, but I have to, you know, you have to give them a call if it's the day of. You can stay home, don't officiate, don't do anything that would compromise yourself, your crewmates, players, administrators from schools. So just if you don't feel well, if you have any symptoms, stay home. You should be taking your temperature in the morning and also the day of before you arrive at a school to work a game. It is unknown right now, again, whether each school will have different COVID protocols or if there'll be conference protocols, but the most common protocol we're seeing right now is a temperature check. And if you shoot over 100.3, you're going to be asked to leave. So that's almost everywhere we're seeing that. You should notify the site administrator immediately if your temperature elevates, above 103. And again, these are just from the IHSA recommendations. If you are a vulnerable individual, I don't see Hank's name on here, but people that are 65 or older, and if you have serious underlying health conditions, you might, take all that stuff into consideration as you prepare yourself for officiating this spring, okay? If you might want to seek medical advice prior to it. We're not going to tell you should or you shouldn't. I'm not a doctor. But again, just based upon some factors, some of these people, these vulnerable individuals might be more at risk than others. So take that into consideration. Some other personal responsibilities, right? Schools will have different rules regarding COVID-19. You should communicate. So, and I think most of the referees do it in lacrosse, but I'm in a tendency where the day before the game, if I'm the R1 listed on arbiter, I email the athletic director or the assistant athletic director at the school, and normally I just confirm the start time, because I've had too many times where I show up to a game for a 4 o'clock game and they're like, oh no, we pushed it back till 6:30, and it never got to veteran ILACs or whatever it is. But you should be communicating with the athletic director or assistant athletic director as well, just to confirm the game time, the location. And this year, communicate with them to address any kind of special considerations they need for COVID. That's something you should be bringing up to them the day before. You should consider travel arrangements that you don't travel with officials to other contests. I know that's difficult. Lacrosse, not so much. But again, you should really consider traveling by yourself. And if you don't, you don't. But unfortunately, right, if one of your partners test positive or has 100.3 degree fever and you were with them in that car, you're not going to be allowed in that field as well due to contact tracing. So it looks like that game might be canceled if they don't have 2 officials. So just consider traveling individually to those game assignments. Wash hands and sanitize. I'm not going to be the CDC over here, but we know that helps out, at least according to some of the research. Maintain recommended social distancing while in the locker room and on the field. So 6 feet is a good recommendation of social distancing. We'll talk about masks as well. But we shouldn't share uniforms, towels, and other apparel and equipment. These are just some of the basic stuff. Water bottles, you should bring your own water bottle to the field. We'll cover that. Lacrosse, very rarely do we use locker rooms, but if we did have a locker room, you shouldn't expect to use a shower or shouldn't expect the school to provide you towels. And you probably shouldn't be, if someone forgets a whistle, probably don't give them your whistle, just saying. As far as some uniform goes, so this first one is currently required. What it's going to look like in 3 days, I don't know, but currently officials are required to use either regular whistles with a cover. And then we've seen cloth covers, we've seen plastic covers. Again, it's to really cover the spit or the droplets coming out of the whistle, or electronic whistles. Those of you that have had a chance to use electronic whistles in lacrosse games, they're very difficult to hear. So I would say the recommendation is a regular whistle with a cover. Hopefully that cover will be dropped because it is, again, they're difficult to find. They're difficult to use on some of these, especially finger whistles. So the whistle must be solid. The whistle cover must be solid black with no letterings or logos. But if you have an electronic whistle, it doesn't matter. Okay. If you have questions about these, you can let me know. We'll see if we can get them solved for you. You're required to wear face coverings when you're not able to maintain recommended social distancing guidelines during conversations with fellow crew members, coaches, players, and other game personnel. Kind of recommending that, on the field, we are trying to, we're trying to get a little bit more distancing than we normally would. We're trying to, maybe not close down as hard on a crease when there's players around there. Keep those couple feet distance away. When we're talking to coaches in the pregame or players in the pregame or other officials in the pregame, right, we need to be masked and wear those face coverings. Officials must also wear face coverings as you enter and exit the school and field. So again, from the parking lot to the field, you should have the face coverings on. And if you want to wear face coverings other times, you can. Now, I know from people that are doing basketball, I believe they're making basketball officials wear face coverings the entire time. I'm hoping that lacrosse is an outdoor sport. They won't make us wear face coverings the entire time, but we know it's also not unheard of to be having this. And then last but not least, this one is a little bit different. Normally we say, hey, don't wear long sleeves under a short sleeve shirt, but the IHSA says if you want to protect your body, your skin, you can wear long sleeves under a short sleeve shirt. They must be black, but again, us as lacrosse officials, we all have long sleeve shirts as well. So any questions real quick?
Jeremy, there is a question in the chat. Bob, are you off mute? You want to ask it? Basically what Bob's asking, Bob Buckley, is the GLLOA plastic covers that they sent, are those acceptable for IHSA?
So I'm looking for mine, and it does cover it. The thing, and it's not designed for a finger whistle, so it's a little bit off. But it does cover most of the air where the air comes out of the whistle itself. So I think based upon the recommendations, right, it's a cover that blocks the air. So I think that would be acceptable. Okay.
Mine's in the drawer. Did they put a logo on it?
It's solid black, 3D printed solid
Okay.
black. So there's no logo on there. And I'm searching for it. I was playing with it the other day, and so it looks. Mine's on it's on a pink whistle over here, but you can kind of see how it covers the air coming out there. So this is a 3D printed one that they have. And I don't remember the name of this. John Harris, if you're on here, if you want to mute yourself, do you remember the name of what this was called? Because I did share it with you.
I found that actually on Smitty's website too, Jeremy. But I'm looking through my emails to find the exact name and email address or the internet address that I can put out the chat for everybody.
Okay, so John's gonna look for that. I appreciate that. But you said the Smitty's did have it there on there as well. D-Ray, thank you, D-Ray. It says the whistle shield, so it's called a whistle shield. Again, it's 3D printed. It's a little bit bulky. Not as nice, I think, as the cloth coverings, but if it works, it works. It's an option there. So
I don't think the IHSA is going to get nitpicky and come out and watch us all to see if there's a logo on it. If we start doing the playoffs, the state playoffs, then you're going to have to cover that logo up. So I wouldn't worry about the logo. I wouldn't. On a whistle, I wouldn't.
again, as long as you're able to,
Well, it says it should have black with no lettering or logos, Tom.
I understand that, but I don't think they're going to come out and check everybody to make
Gotcha.
sure. Okay.
Unless they walk right up on you.
If you get into state playoffs, then I think you want to make sure you don't have anything on it. But I'm just saying in general.
So these first 3 pages we've gone through, these are ones that have been pretty uniformed for basketball and football. So I'm assuming these will also stay with lacrosse. Now into some more lacrosse specific recommendations. So U.S. lacrosse, going into our general pregame with the coaches, they're recommending coaches are your players legally and properly equipped according to rule, including the legal goalkeeper chest protector as required for 2021. So we want to add that in there. U.S. lacrosse is recommending no equipment inspections pregame or in the game, just stick checks, okay? If we identify a player for a stick check, they should place their cross on the ground at or near the official. So again, we don't need to check their helmet, their shoulder pads, their inside their palms, cleat distance, and all that other fun stuff. But stick checks only. This is U.S. lacrosse recommendations. So they might change which IHSA. Meetings with captains. So only one captain from each team is needed. An official should wear a mask. Captain should stay apart and should not shake hands. Officials should conduct a regular coin flip and choose AP or choice of the goal to defend. So again, one captain, and again, we're even recommending, I think with the IHSA, just one of the officials with one captain for each team. The U.S. Lacrosse is recommending no pregame meeting with the face-offs. As far as the IHSA is concerned, even as from the GLLOA board, we believe that the face-off procedure is going to change a little bit this year. And because of that, it might be a good idea for us to have conversations with the face-off players, whether it be one face-off player from team, or even having the face-off players on that circle where they're spread out social distance. So hopefully the IHSA does allow this, and then be used as the referee's discretion to have that with the face-off players. U.S. Lacrosse also recommends no player lineups before starting a game, and players should go directly to their places to start the game. Again, understanding that at certain times, officials can help set the tone to the game through these lineups. We're pushing to have the option of having pre-game lineups available for us. But again, currently this is from U.S. Lacrosse, what they recommended. And last but not least, let's head into the IHSA modifications. So the first one is face-offs. So we're going to change face-offs up a little bit. And we're seeing this at all the levels, so we're going to continue to go with it. So we should conduct, first off, a quick and efficient face-off. So starting off this year a little differently, we're going to go back a couple of years where we had to put the ball on the ground first and back away. Once we're back away, we're going to instruct the players to go down for the face-off. If they go down, again, we should make sure their tops and stops lined up. We need to give them any kind of quick instructions to make sure they're aligned properly, okay? And then once both players are aligned, we'll give the set command and then blow the whistle. Obviously varying the whistle. Again, anticipation of this taking no longer than 7 to 8 seconds is kind of the ideal from once they go down, having the whistle. But again, we want to make sure they are legal face-offs as well. Some people say fair face-offs. We want to make sure they're legal. So making sure tops and stops, they're perpendicular and everything's off the line. Both hands are touching the ground. That's always a big one there. And everything's out of neutral zone. Stick checks during the game. Again, we're recommending one per half. So one in the first half, one in the second half. Also recommending that we should only have one official touch these sticks. So typically the referee on the game can measure both sticks. If the official wants to be gloved and avoid hand-to-hand contact, it's not a bad idea. If they want to carry hand sanitizer in their pocket after touching somebody, that's not a bad idea. Again, U.S. Lacrosse is not recommending equipment checks, but again, we can view the Noxay logo if need to from a distance. We can view a mouthpiece from a kid showing me a mouthpiece. So those are things we could view if it comes need for like a coach requested equipment check. But the most important thing the IHSA has kind of said is officials are not responsible for monitoring social distancing guidelines on the sidelines, in the bleachers, or anywhere else outside the boundaries of the field. I'm not going to go yell to coach, have your players back up, or have your players get 6 feet apart. That's on them. That's on the coaches. That's on the administrations. So unfortunately, I know my internet has been kind of crummy throughout this presentation. I apologize. This will be presented. This will be on the IHSA or on the GLLOA website following. I'll show you that. I'm going to go ahead and forward on the next slide. ILACs, signers. I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off and mute myself, and I'm going to let Steve Eckleberry. I'm going to keep this on the screen unless you want to share something else, Steve.
Perfect. Okay, let me move this out of the way. So I was going to do a nice PowerPoint and everything, but then I figured, well, what would John do? And it probably wouldn't be a nice big PowerPoint. So, but John's having me do this tonight. So this is our list of assigners for this year. And as you can see, we've added a couple of assigners as we have taken over some more schools. Actually, this year we have all of the schools and all of the high schools in Illinois. And we added Steve Fisher, who's going to be doing the Western Rugby Conference, and Tony Albertina, who is also a clinician. He helped present level 1 with myself and John Bosco tonight and yesterday. And he's going to be working down in Central Illinois, assigning the schools down there. I've added the Chicago Public Schools, which are new this year. And then everything else has kind of remained the same. Scott's still handling all the youth, and everything else has kind of remained the same. So one of the big things that we need to make sure that you guys are up to date with IHSA. I know John Bosco has sent out a ton of emails about this, and we still have some people that are not completely up to date. They're not showing up on the IHSA list, and make sure that your concussion stuff is up to date, because if it's not, you're not going to show up on that list. We still have a few people that are not showing up on that list because either their concussion stuff is up to date or not. We have, I just looked a few minutes ago, we have about 400 games in the system right now, which John told me earlier today is only about a little bit over a third of what we're expecting. So as you can imagine, that's probably why you're not getting any games yet. So people are asking, when are you going to start scheduling? And some people are saying, why, other spring sports, or this second spring season, whatever season you want to call this, some of them are starting to schedule, like people are getting baseball games already. Well, the problem is this game's on turf. It's on the same field as football and soccer and all these other sports that are going on at the same time. And it's a scheduling issue, right? I mean, these sports are all happening on the same fields, and they are juggling schedules, and they've had to redo this lacrosse schedule now for the third time because IHSA moved this schedule again. Most of these schools are doing their schedules again for the third time. Most of them are going to play a conference schedule. They're playing fewer games based on the weeks allotted. There is going to be a state series of some kind. We don't know what kind it's going to be, but there is going to be a state series. And so as soon as we get some more games in the system, we'll be able to start assigning. But again, we don't have them. We don't have them all the schedules yet. We're still waiting on them. John's getting them in as quick as he gets them. And as we hear from more schools, we will be putting more schedules in the system and be able to assign them. So be patient with us. We'll get the assignments out. And when we do get them out, we're going to ask that you guys accept or decline them as soon as you can, because that's going to help us. You guys know that we need to know if you can work those games, if you can't work those games, because if you can't work it, just decline it. I mean, send it back. We'll get somebody that can, but we got some people that aren't working this year because of COVID or whatever reason. We lost a few officials. We have new officials too that are going through our level 1 classes right now. But we're going to need everybody. Everybody's going to have to work, but accept your games. If you can't accept it, if there's a reason, or if you have to sit on it, just call us. Let us know. Hey, I'm not sure, but here's why. The other thing is, and I think Jeremy kind of touched on this, and even if it's not COVID or whatever, and you got an issue that's come up, call us. Let us know. That list of assigners right there, you got those phone numbers. Most of you guys have our phone numbers plugged in your phone anyway. Call us and let us know. I think everybody in this level 2 clinic knows, don't ever text John Vetter. I think that's a golden rule. I think I think that's a golden rule, but don't ever text John. You guys can text me. You guys can text Scott. You can text John Bosco. Any of us, but don't text John Vetter. And you're probably on a busy day. If you need to get a hold of somebody else, talk to Bosco or myself or one of the other assigners if you need something. We might be a little bit easier to get a hold of. I think Bosco put it pretty well when he mentioned that he had to watch Vetter's email one day or for a week when he had his surgery last year, and he said it was a nightmare, and he understands why sometimes you don't get an email right back from John, because the number of emails he gets with all these schedule changes and all that is crazy. So sometimes it might be easier to get a hold of one of us. But guys, just keep in touch. Let us know what's going on. Make sure you call if you got something going on. If you're having a problem with somebody, let us know. So, I think that's all I got.
Hey, Steve, do you know which of these conferences are going to one 3-man crews versus 2-man?
So as of right now, I think it's the same as last year. I don't know who for sure, but I think right now we're going to sign them all as 2 and add those 3 as we can based on the number of officials. We'll go from there. I think it's the same as last year.
Okay. Excellent. Any questions for Steve?
Yes. So somebody asked, will the person who assigns the game show on the arbiter? So yeah, if you click on the game number, it does show who assigned the game, and then their name, their number, and their email show. I think their email shows as the assigner. It also shows on the list when you get it on if you have the mobile app, it shows on your mobile app too as to who, you have a new game from somebody. It always shows, but you obviously don't remember that when the game's coming up. But if you go into Arbiter and click on the game number, it'll show you who assigned. But again, if you can't go, if I assign you a game and I may be working a game that night or whatever, you can't get a hold of me, call one of the other assigners or something. Whatever, we're all, every one of us is working day jobs or whatever. Email a couple of us, you'll get a hold of somebody. We'll take care of it. It doesn't have to be me to take you off a game. It doesn't have to be John to take you off a game, but one of us will take care of it. We all have access to it, and we're happy to do it. We all kind of help each other out. So, Scott as well. As far as a listing of the schools for each conference, I don't think we actually have a list of it. I know I've gone online to find them. So I don't think we actually have a list.
HSA's Arnie answered it. HSA's got a nice breakdown of the conferences. You kind of got to search for it, but once you find it, you can click on the conference, find out which schools are in it, and then there's a reverse. You can look up the school, see their conference. We can, I'll take a note and post that.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, Jeremy, you want to hand it back to me?
I'm going to shoot over to you, Bob, real quick. D-Ray Tucker, can you go ahead and throw your video on if you are dressed inappropriately enough to put one on or no? All right. Hey, D-Ray Tucker is from Southern Illinois. He's south of I-80. So he is going for an IHSA clinician this year. D-Ray has been kind of instrumental helping out officials in Illinois the past few years. He's a high-level college official. Has been around for lacrosse for, I don't know how long, but a long time. So he's going to have some presentations coming up with Croc next week. But again, just so you can see his face, we talk about D-Ray, that's who it is up there. Okay. Bob, it's all you now.
Yeah, gotta love that room, D-Ray. You got a zebra painted on the wall. That's nice.
So all I see everything is in black and white, Bob.
Nice background, D-Ray.
Okay, let me get this shared, and we are going to talk about hate speech. Okay, this is a document. Jeremy, is this right off of the IHSA website, or did you pull these pieces together?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Yes, that is straight from the IHSA website. If you typed in IHSA hate speech on Google, it was up there.
Okay, thank you. So we wanted to talk a little bit more about this. I raised the question last week to John, and John made some statements about some of the conferences, but we wanted to step it up a level to the IHSA level. The highlights are mine. We'll get this document posted, but there's some key information in here. There's a couple of different scenarios that you want to be aware of. So hate speech, this applies to everything in Illinois, right? It's not just sporting events, it's the schools, everywhere. And they define hate speech as behavior aimed at a person's sex, gender identification, race, religion, creed, age, national origin, ancestry, pregnancy, marital or parental status, sexual orientation, disability. Essentially, this is something that creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive school environment. The definition of this really belongs to the person receiving it, however. If they feel they are being demeaned in any way, this could be something that falls under hate speech to them. Somebody may say something in jest, and it might not be intended as hate speech, but it's usually the definition of the receiver. Can be verbal, nonverbal, or physical acts. And many times when kids are on the field, they say things to each other. If somebody takes it the wrong way, they could tag it as hate speech. And there's certain things that need to happen for this. If officials witness this, this is what John Vetter was talking about last week. It's immediate ejection. If you hear something, it's a flag. When you can stop play, you stop play, and that player is ejected immediately. The second situation is when the officials don't witness the act. And what's going to happen there is the person who was offended is going to tell their coach. At that point, there's certain protocols you need to take. And the coach probably is going to get the AD involved. But the head coach is supposed to immediately inform the officials, stop play when you can. Obviously, if there's a attack going on, you don't want to kill it then, but the first opportunity, you want to stop playing, you want to talk to that coach. At that point, both head coaches are going to come together. Now, the players should be away from this, right? The players should not be involved in this coaching discussion with the officials. But what's going to happen is the coach of the alleged offender is going to talk with that person. If that person admits to saying it, he or she is going to be ejected immediately. And per the IHSA, they're suspended for the next contest and then subject to the school's rules, whatever those may be. If the defender, the alleged offender, does not admit to saying it, so you got two situations. Person says they said it, person says they didn't say it, then you've got to go through the whole protocol, and this is the coach's responsibility, informing the defender that if the official hears anything or if there's another incident, there could be action taken. This is just a warning. There's nothing happening if the offender, the potential offender, denies saying anything. The other situation is if the person doesn't inform his or her coach until after the team has left the site, you're not involved in that at all. Officials are not involved in that. That's the coaches and ADs that are going to handle that situation. This does need to be reported to the assigner. Make sure it's reported on the IHSA report form. And then at the bottom, they have a condensed version. You might want to print this off, keep it in your pocket, or keep it somewhere handy in a game bag if you're taking a game bag out. It's not real confusing, but it's vague enough and descriptive enough that it can get us in trouble if we don't operate properly on these things. So three situations, right? The official hears something, immediate ejection. The official doesn't hear it, and the alleged offender admits saying it. Alleged offender doesn't admit saying it. So that's the IHSA hate speech policy. Certain conferences began this. I think the CSL was one of the first to implement this. So at that point, I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions or comments on this. Anything need clarified?
If you guys need something clarified, just unmute yourself, right? Most of you have the ability to unmute yourself or raise your hand up there if you want to.
Yeah, we've missed a few. Let me click on these other folks and allow them to unmute themselves.
Either with this or COVID, again, either choice. I know it's not heavy lacrosse tonight. It's more IHSA policies tonight we're getting into.
Okay, gonna assume there's nothing. This will be posted on the GLLOA site. The next thing we want to get into is a little bit of offsides. So we're going to do quite a bit of offsides this year. Jeremy's going to work on cutting up some clips, and Tom Cummings has got some live game situations where we're going to talk through offsides and clearing and how to recognize it. There's a couple of U.S. lacrosse videos that I'm going to play. The first one is a couple years old. Gordon Corsetti put it together, but it's about how to recognize offsides. And let me get this over to the right window so you can see it. And if I did this right, the audio should play as well.
In this video, we look at recognizing and calling
Can you hear the
offside
audio?
in a lacrosse game. So here we have the blue team clearing the ball,
Yep.
and they're
Okay.
going to have a long pass up to the midfield line. And then they clear the ball to their offensive half of the field. Now this is a three-person game, so we have the single side official up here, the lead official down here, and then the trail official is jogging up the field, taking care of everything else that's happening behind the play, and then is the final official who's counting for offside for both teams. So we're going to bring the ball up a little bit more, and then we'll pause and go over one way to count players. So we froze the field, and now we're going to count. And this time we're going to count in pairs. We're going to count the defense and the offensive players together. So we have 1 pair, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, plus the goalkeeper for the defense. So as long as we have these pairs, we're onside for both teams. And remember, onside is for the offensive team no more than 6 players on their offensive half of the field. For the defensive team, no more than 7. That's 6 defenders plus 1 goalkeeper. So as long as teams don't have any more than 6 on offense or 7 on defense, we don't have offside. The teams are okay. But now let's continue to play this and see what happens. Okay, quick count. Again, we'll go in pairs. 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here's our 7th offensive player. So right now we have more than 6 offensive players while they're on their offensive half of the field. This is offside, and either the trail official or the single side official is going to make this call, whoever recognizes it first. And more than likely in this situation, because if we go backwards just a little bit, it's going to be the trail official's call, because the single side official is watching all of this. He's the on official, so he doesn't have time to count. But the trail official coming up the field should be able to recognize this player. So to go all the way back to the clear by the blue team, we've got the long outlet pass. Again, we'll pause it here. We'll give ourselves a midline. Again, the offensive team cannot have any more than 6. The defensive team can have no more than 7 players. Play continues. Single side official's the on, lead official's working to goal line extended, trail official comes in, and this is where we have the offside. So once again, we're going to count in pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And here is our 7th player on offense. More than likely, it's the trail official making this call as he comes up the field. Immediate whistle turns the ball over to the white team. So now let's look at another play from a different game and go over a different way that you can count the players as the ball clears upfield. In this clip, we look at a slow clear with a lot of substitution along the midfield line. It's a very challenging play to officiate, but if you maintain a count at all times, you're going to be very well prepared to make the call when it happens. So let's see the white team clearing the ball up the field. And here we see this is a 3-person crew. Our single side official is at the midline cone where he should be. Our trail official is just behind the ball coming up the field, and the lead official is about at the attack box on the other half of the field working towards goal line extended. So here we're looking at the red and white players moving along the midfield line. And it's important to remember that while on offense, no more than 6 players, on defense, no more than 7. So let's continue to play this out and see what happens. We've got a lot of substitution along the midfield line, players crossing over, red and white, trying to find an outlet pass. Ball's moving to the middle of the field, a lot more bodies moving around, and now the goalkeeper is running up over the field. So right now, let's do a quick count and see where we're at. In the last video, we counted in pairs. This time, we're going to count just the offensive team first and then the defensive team. So we always like to count offensive team first, just because that's usually the quick offside. So here we have 3 white and 3 white plus a 7th white. So that's offside on the white team already. So you can count in 3s, you can count in 2s, you can count one at a time. Usually it's easiest if you're a newer official to count one at a time. As you get more comfortable, you can begin to pair the players up. So we have 2 white, 2 white, 2 white. Uh-oh, there's our 7th white. Same thing on the defense. We can go 2, 2, 2 plus the goalkeeper equals 7. So you can go 1s, 2s, 3s, you can count 4s and another 2. How you count really doesn't matter. The important thing is that you count. You always want to be counting. It's the ABC of officiating. Always be counting. Anytime you're the off official, you don't have something to do, or you get a little bit of a daydream going on, if you want to focus back in on the game, remember your ABCs. Always be counting. Well, if you do that, that extra player is going to stand out like he has a neon sign flashing over him that says, I'm offside. So let's run this back a little bit and play our clear at half speed and see how we can handle the midfield situation and make it a little less complicated. Once again, our single side official is where he's supposed to be, and the white team is clearing the ball up the field. So we'll play this at half speed. Now, it's important to remember that we already have 3 attackmen and 3 defensemen for the red and white team. So we don't really have to worry about them. On a slow clear, they are going way past the midfield line. They're going way past the wing lines, the restraining lines. They're staying deep because they're expecting the clear to come up. They want to give space so their midfielders can run. So really, we're just worried about the players in and around the midfield line. So it becomes a game within a game. And in this situation, you're looking for the players who may go over, and you're keeping a count in your head. So we already have 3. Again, we focus on the offensive team first. So we have 3 offensive players already on that side of the field. And we have 1 more for a total of 4. So that means 2 white players can go over the midfield line. 2 plus 4 equaling 6. Do the same thing for the defenders. We already have 3 defenders. And we have 1, 2, and 3 defenders on this side. So that means no red players can cross over. So your inner voice is saying 2 white can go, no red can go. 2 white, no red. 2 white, no red. Continue to play out. More substitutions are happening here. 1 white on this side of the field plus the other 3. That means there's 4, so 2 white can go over, no red. Some additional shifting. We're back to that count from before. We have now 5 white players on this side of the field, so that means 1 white can go over, still no red can go over. 1 white, no red. Goalkeeper continues to look. It's being well defended. No really clean pass that they can make. And now the count has again shifted. We're at 4 players for white. This midfielder plus the 3 attackmen. So now 2 white can go. No red can go. Ball continues to move upfield. And this is just a quick little moment here. Mechanics note. Trail official and a 3-person crew needs to be behind the ball in this situation. We already have the single side covering, so this is just a notice that you want to keep yourself as the trail official just behind the ball in a 3-person crew on a slow clear, because the single side official, he's taking all of this, and if we have a quick turnover, let's say the goalkeeper loses the ball right there, you're the new lead official in that case, and you are out of position to cover goal line extended in that situation. So just a quick mechanics note on that one. So now what is our count? It's changed a little bit. 1 white can go over, now 1 red can go over. Because we have our red player, he subbed over the field, so now we have 1 white, 1 red. Okay, the goalkeeper recognizes that he has a lane, and he's going to take it. Let's see what happens. Here's an interesting thing to notice. This player is realizing what his goalkeeper is about to do. So he's putting on the brakes and hoping that he has enough time to run over before his goalkeeper runs over the midline. He knows he's covered, and he also knows his goalie is going to run to daylight. So he's trying to get back onside, because what's happening here? Right now, you already see, because we've already just focused in on this area, we have 1, 2, 3 white players on this side of the field, plus the other 3 attackmen are 6 players for white on the offensive half. Red also has 6 players plus their goalkeeper, so they have no more than 7. They're good as well. So that's why this player just pumped the brakes and is trying to run back onside. We'll continue over, and here's where you see the offside. We have, if we're counting in 3s, 3 attackmen, 3 middies, there's our extra player. Or if we're counting in 2s, 2 white, 2 white, 2 white, and 1 more white. So no matter how you count, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's your 7th. Again, no matter how you count, you find the way to count that works for you so that you can count the quickest, the most effectively. So let's go back and watch this at full speed. And we'll pause it as the count changes, so you have the time to recognize what is going on. So what is our count in this situation? 1 white, no red. 1 white, no red. Continue to play at a live speed. The count has changed. 2 white, no red. 2 white, no red. Now, no white, no red, because we have, we'll count these guys in pairs, 1, 2, and 3. We've got 6 white on this side of the field, and we also have now a grand total of 7 if you include the goalkeeper on that side of the field as well. So right now we're onside. Nobody can go over the midfield line from left to the right side. The count is now changed. 2 white, no red. 2 white, no red. Ball moves upfield just a little bit. And this is where you start recognizing that offside is a possibility, because we have the goalkeeper breaking, and we already have our available midfielders running downfield. The spider sense is tingling just a little bit, saying that, you know what, this could be offside here. So what is our count? 1 white, no red. And now right here, this is where you recognize it. If the goalkeeper stops, we're okay. But this is right where we recognize that no white and no red can go over. 0-0 on either side, because we have these 3, and we also have the 3 in red, plus the 3 attackmen, the 3 defensemen, and the goalkeeper. So right here, as soon as the goalkeeper crosses, offside right here. Immediate whistle, turn over to the team in red, and a quick restart according to the rules you play under.
Comments?
The U.S. Lacrosse Officials Development Program presents.
Sorry. Wow, we have a question in there. Oh, never mind. I think D-Ray answered, but no, it's definitely a Tom Cummings question there. If you notice, both teams are offsides.
You don't know which went off first.
Yeah, you don't know which off.
You kill the ball, take it away from the offense, and then you convince the coach that they were offsides first. That's
Come
what
on,
you do.
Tom. You know that's a rules question. You know the rules question.
You got both teams offsides.
If they're both teams offsides, you stop
It's
play.
a simultaneous foul, but you're not going to penalize anybody.
No, no. If they're both offsides, you stop play, you put them on sides, and you keep the team that had possession. You get going. Am I wrong? Or am I just making that up?
I think you're making it up.
All right, I'll agree. We'll look at that.
The thing is, I'm going to know who went offsides first.
All right, there we go. Tom Cummins.
Okay, Tom.
No, I think when I do my presentation, that was very confusing. I don't know about you guys, but I'm counting the goalie and the two guys and telling myself that one of those other white guys has to stay behind the line. And as soon as the goalie goes over, if there's not another white player that comes back behind the midline, then you got offsides. I had counting ahead and going, oh, I got two guys that can come over, two guys that can't. All I have to know is that I need 4 guys behind midline, 3 plus the goalie. Okay, I just think that was way too involved, but that's not the way I do it. But so I'm going to know ahead of time. I am, Jeremy.
Okay, but in that rare situation where you just got hit in the head and you're not sure, when we just had a quarter break and you're not sure who's going which direction, it's a legitimate question. What do you do when you recognize, holy crap, there's a whole bunch of guys down here and I don't know who went offsides first?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I just did. I'm going to blow the whistle. Okay, and I'm probably going to take the ball away from the offense, and I'm going to put the ball to the defense, and I'm going to go the other way before anybody can bitch at me.
Well, simultaneously,
that's what I'm going to
say that, but okay.
I'm going to know ahead of time. I am.
Okay.
I think I am.
As far as the rule, D-Ray, do you have the reference up there? To answer the question of the person up to, I believe it was Richard, to answer Richard's question, if we can give him an actual ruling for that would be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, I posted the rule reference 764. Award the ball when the penalty time is awarded, and it's equal. You just what you said, Jeremy. Shut the play down. Get the teams back where they were onside. Honestly, I'd rather admit, hey, coach, it's 2 guys. I don't know who went offside first, but everybody's offside. Team that has the ball keeps the ball. Move on.
All right, a good discussion, Bob. It's up to you. Unless there's anybody in the audience has questions. Anybody else besides us bickering at each other? Anybody else want to do themselves?
Is that a question? Never count backwards? I don't understand that.
Always count forward. I think that's what Vinny was saying. Always count. Make sure we're always counting the offense. Always count front. All right, Bob. It's up to you. You're back on.
Let me pop up a couple of. These are a little simpler ones. They're not as much training as they are midline play.
Hey, Bob, real quick, before you hit play on this one, sorry. How about we use the keyword offsides in the chat right now? It's 8:54. Put the keyword offsides. Put the keyword offsides in the chat for today. Chat that out to everybody just so we know you're present. And now it's your show.
So these are some midline plays from US Lacrosse website. It's real easy when you're sitting up in the box where this camera is to see this stuff. It's a little more challenging when you're down on the field, but let's take a look. Did you see it? Kid falls over the line, blue. That one's pretty easy. Similar one. Did you see it? Midfield. Tries to kick the ball, steps on the line. So let me ask, would this be over and back this year?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because he kicked the ball when he's still on the other side of the field.
Exactly, right. You can't kick it. You can play it with your stick. You can reach over and poke it back. You can't play it with the hand, can't play it with a foot. And, he ends up stepping on the line anyways, so getting for offsides. And then we've got one more in this situation. C10. Referee's in great position, see where the flag goes up. Okay. Oh, want some scroll sawing stuff? We got one more that's actually a real live situation, a little more complex. Jeremy, what year is this from?
This was, it was actually me and Eckleberry. This was the 2019 playoffs.
Okay. So what you're going to see, and this plays a couple of times, I didn't encode it in a high res format, so it's a little fuzzy, but it'll get clear. What you're going to see is the ball heading back towards midfield. And in this case, green is on offense, right? New Trier was on offense in this case. Did you see it?
Yep.
Let's look again in slow motion. Did the kid get across before the other one jumped back? Did this kid get bumped? Did green get bumped enough to go over? No, they're definitely offsides. It's within a second or so. But then you got to also ask yourself first, did 13 get bumped in order to force him over? You have a push, or do you have him stepping across as offsides? Jeremy, what call did you make here?
The call I made was I have no clue.
I think Jeremy called the officials timeout, didn't you, Jeremy?
I went with a play on.
Was that the hand swap?
I signaled over and back, but it meant that he was over and he was back.
That was an official's timeout, if I remember correctly, Jeremy, right?
And then we just let him go, and then they scored a goal like 2 seconds later. So,
So there's
Been there
one
for him,
point
Steve.
I'm wondering if white was offsides as well. These happen so fast, and this, you're going to freeze it and see that it was less than a second when you have both players offsides. Right? This kid's going to get bumped. Right there is your offsides. One step.
What did we do there?
it was nothing. We just kept the game going.
What you did, Steve, is let Jeremy hang out to dry.
Well, yeah, but I was way down on the other side. But
Yeah, blame it on whatever you want.
Okay, so that's the clip. If you have, let me get this sound off. If you have good video clips, please send them in. Like I said, Jeremy's working on some additional offsides videos. We'll watch those in a week or two. That is all the prepared material we had for tonight. We are right at 8:59. If you have some questions, please go off mute, ask them, comments, anything. Yes, no?
I think I missed it. What was the key code for the day?
Offsides.
Offsides. All right.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording here, Bob. If
Okay.
somebody wants to, you go ahead and chat. We're